The Big 12 Experience College Football Playoff Preview Picks Edition on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. That is the promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sportsbook available in states. Download that Rebet app in your app store. Use that promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Rebet promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing the data-driven leader in props, picks, 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpockets.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by ourselves with the SGPN College Football Playoff Challenge, free to enter a $1,000 grand prize picking totals, spreads, money lines. Go over to sportsgamblingpockets.com/CFP to enter today. Welcome, everybody, into the Big 12 College Experience, baby. Part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We have a bracket. Well, we've had a bracket, but now we are within, 26, 27, less than 27 hours till kickoff in South Bend for the college football playoff. The Big 12 does not have a game this week. We have a bye. Forgot. So shout out to our Sun Devils. Should have another team in, but we can talk about that too. But first off, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And joining me to talk Big 12 football and college football together, he is a walking contradiction because he was born in Provo, Utah, family name's Iowa. He used to live in Morgantown, West Virginia, co-host of the Ryan and Rush Show, Rambling Rush. Rush, what's up, man?
What's funny about all of this playoff is, we're figuring out last team in, who gets the buys, that sort of thing. And then it's going to be that famous cyclical where it's going to be like, don't you kind of miss the BCS when it was just the two and all the other bowls made sense? I know Troy was on that take a year ago, and
decades.
Maybe we all had it good in front of us, but with all said, jokes aside, I am excited for this college football playoff and to see how it's going to turn out. It will be really cool seeing these games at campuses. I am really excited about that.
Well, and the weather, the locations are great. We will not have any sunny and 75 games from the weather I can break down. But third man in the box, you guys know him over at the college basketball pregame show. Also, he is the Big 12 guru because he's the weed growing, green mowing Troy Chewning. What is up, Troy?
Yeah, I was always a fan of having all the bowl games set, all the matchups based on the conference rankings, and then just like right after that conference championship day, you had 30 games to look forward to, and you could print out the schedule, which is still cool to do. And recently, I do want to clarify, I think we should use the BCS in place of the committee. Like, agreed. I'm cool having the 12-team playoff, but I want the computer to decide. All the rest of us trust everything else we do with computers already right now. Why not just take the coaches poll, the other third part, and then the 5-way computer poll, combine them together just like the BCS. Give your top 25, the top 12 go. You seed them as 1 through 12, as the BCS says, and run with it. And if the first round matchup ends up being Texas, Georgia again, tough luck.
They should go back to the BCS or have some computer system.
The way that they rank them, yes.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
This fucking committee is corrupt as hell. We've already laid it out with BYU. It's a joke that BYU is not even in. It's a joke that they're not in. It's an even bigger joke that they weren't even on the bubble or in consideration to make the playoff. But
that committee sucks. They were sitting around watching the games that day. No fucking beers, no chips and dip. They didn't have anybody like batting each other at the end of the game that was already decided because someone caught a long pass to have like a bad beat cover. Like they're not real fans. They're not really watching the game, and they can go fuck themselves. Fuck the college playoff committee.
I have a question for you guys. Which conference do you think made it out better, the ACC or Big 12? Would you rather have one team with the bye or two teams make it in? It's kind of a good.
Two cracks at it, because I think it gives you another opportunity to get a college football playoff win. And I think that the two ACC teams will have a shot to win. I mean, I don't think the disparity that everybody's making these conferences out to be is what it is.
No, I don't either.
I'd rather have two.
Okay. Would you rather have we play a game of would you rather? All right. One ACC team loses, one wins, but then Arizona State wins, and then the ACC team. What evens that out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, they both. If the ACC does get a win, whether it's Clemson or SMU, I think that's a strong showing, because that's a true road win in the college football.
Sure, that's a good point.
It's not like if Arizona State or when Arizona State wins in the semis, that's on a neutral. I think if you win a road game, that's an absolute statement.
Also, I think just having more games, like Arizona State has to win one, even if both of the ACC teams lose. Arizona State's got to win one to get media share, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure they split it up. It's based on a percentage on how far you go and whoever wins in what position and whatnot like that. But when you have two teams, you're going to earn at least, a pretty sizable chunk of a media share, I would assume, of getting paid out from the college football playoffs. So that's got to play into it a little bit. I know that has nothing to do with football, and it's against everything that I think about the game, but like, I do think that Mac is right. We've spent the whole year trying to find out who's really fucking good, and the answer to that is none of these teams.
Yeah.
And no one wants to admit it. And so because of that, I think having the two, because it's a pretty equal year here. Once you get to the top, 8 teams, it's week to week, like the NFL, where, someone could look really good and then not look that great just 7 days later. That's just because the talent's not all stacked up on 3 teams.
I don't know what you guys think about this, but before the season, I know, what was it? A year ago, we had that funeral for the Pac-12, and we're like, the Big 12 is going to make it. It's a top 3 league. Like, come on, Big 12, let's do it. Let's stay relevant. And of course, we were anti-ACC up till the season, I would say, even most of the season. But now seeing what the committee's doing, I'm not as anti-ACC as I was. I'm actually I want the ACC to do well. I know. I want the Big 12 to do well. I want to shut up these SEC and Big 10 schools, because I think we're at a point where, the Pac-12 imploded to themselves. But dude, I don't think they're going for the ACC next. I think they're going for the kill shot for both the conferences at the same time. And I think both are in a weird way. Like, at one time we thought we were like enemies against each other, like who's going to be the third league, but I don't think there's going to be a third league. I think us and the ACC are competing for relevance, and I think we're in it together.
I will say, and I was thinking about this last night, with the changing of the guard in terms of like evening the playing field, the Alabama AD putting out a statement, we need your help, we need money, blah, blah, blah. Those SEC towns aren't the richest towns in America. And I don't think that they have the alumni depth of big time donors that some of these schools, maybe on the East Coast, maybe an ACC, maybe some of these Big 12s, like we're seeing with like investing in Rich Rod. I think that the SEC is going to keep coming more and more back to the pack, because everybody else can do what they've been doing for years and years and years, and that's pay fucking players.
Yeah.
Now they're not the only ones doing it. Everybody else is doing it, and they're getting outbid.
I've got a theory on this. So we can all basically see the writing on the wall that at some point in time in the future, there's going to be a cap on how much NIL money a roster can have every year. Like, do we agree that that's probably going to come down, whether it's, $30 million, $20 million or something like that? So until that happens, you're an idiot if your athletics department isn't pouring every dollar they have into football. Get a fucking $70 million roster and put your program on the map so that when they put rules on everyone else, then you'll always have the 2 or 3 years of the lightning flash in a bottle from dumping all of that money into your football program. You can coast off of that for quite a while. And my theory is that schools like West Virginia and some of these, what people would say, not necessarily the greatest scholastic institutions, they know that they make money from their athletic department and they support it.
Yeah.
I think that those schools are going to dump an obscene amount of money into football NIL, and it's going to run a bunch of these other schools out, at least in the short term. And then when they get brought back, we'll see the teams come back to the pack when they get brought back onto some kind of NIL budget. But I do think you'll see a couple of teams just destroy in spending and be like, how in the world are they going to keep this up? They don't have to keep it up. They're going to get limited. So you might as well drop $50 million for the next 2 or 3 years.
You have to. And I know this is a college football playoff preview, and this is probably a topic we're going to talk extensively over the offseason about. But what are we seeing now? It's the NIL transfer portal is evening out the playing field. And then when you start to look back on things, maybe it was those SEC and Big Ten and, USCs of the world saying that, oh, we can't pay players. It didn't come from these smaller schools saying that, because now all these other schools can do what these other teams were doing this whole time. Right. I will add a caveat to your point with, I don't think these SEC towns have the deep pockets. I think they do. I do think the alumni are there, but so is everyone else's alumni.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And what are you seeing? Like in that Vanderbilt Alabama game this year, right? Is you're still seeing those first stringers, those NFL talent most likely go to an SEC school, and they definitely get probably more money there. But what are you seeing with those second string players? These Alabamas aren't as deep anymore. The Vanderbilts now of the world are getting these second strings. So then Alabama's third string is now their second string. A first string goes down, and now you have what would have been their second strings against their third strings. And that's why you're seeing all the Vanderbilt beat the Alabamas. You're seeing these upsets that you haven't seen before, because now it's evened out the playing field. It has. And
it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. It's the playing field's even. And it's only going to get even more even the more and more people spend money. I mean, Carolina hiring Bill Belichick. You don't think they're going to fucking unload? Even UVA
look at Carolina's schedule for next year and tell me that we shouldn't put a to make college football playoff bet in ASAP. Like the moment that the national championship ends this year and they put up next year's lines, you should bet North Carolina to make the college football playoff. They play Clemson, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's nuts. It waltz right in there.
Virginia is dumping money. Obviously, West are Mountaineers with McAfee and his ties, and Ken Kendricks and D-backs and many more. But yeah, we'll talk about this more in the offseason. Let's get into some games. But first,
let's do it.
We got to talk about our first annual college football playoff bracket. Pick sides and totals for every game with the chance to win $1,000 prize. Usually when you enter a $1,000 grand prize, you got to pay. Not here. Free to enter. Just go over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CFP. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CFP. Get on over there today. We are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Promo code right above Troy's head, TCESGPN. Get on over there. 1,000 times Underdog entry streaks. Special boosts on flex entries. They got a bunch of different options there. We will be giving out a Underdog entry for tonight's college basketball games tipping off here at, well, actually the 5 o'clock game just tipped, but also we got games tipping off at 7 o'clock. So join us for the pregame show after here at 6 o'clock Eastern at the top of the hour, where we will dive into the slate tonight and look ahead to tomorrow as well. You can claim your special pick and first-time deposit. Offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That is the Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new social sports book available in 45 states. Plenty of options to get down on some action. Download the Rebet app in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That is rebate promo code SGPN. All righty, let's get into it, and we'll do our bracket at the end, our best bets and all that good stuff. Let's lead it off tomorrow night in South Bend, Indiana. The Fighting Irish are laying 7. They finished the year 11. Well, both teams finished the year 11-1. Curt Cignetti, year 1 coach, overachieves. Yes, a soft schedule, but hey, you can only beat who's in front of you. They have like one of the best point differentials all year. Notre Dame has been absolutely rolling ever since the Northern Illinois game. They're laying 7. The weather will be in the 20s. There will be snow. And I think that favors Indiana. I think Indiana's live in this game, man. I think that Ohio State game was a learning experience playing in that environment. Their defense showed up in that game. It was their special teams that really cost them that game with the pump block and really just ultimately why the wheels went off the rails there. I think Indiana's able to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage. I trust Roark more in the elements versus Notre Dame than on the Notre Dame side. I think this is a one-possession game, so I'm definitely taking the points. It might be my dog at the end, and I'm getting the better coach as a dog with time to prepare. Give me the Hoosiers in a battle of Indiana schools. Troy.
I don't know if Cignetti's a better coach than Marcus Freeman.
Oh, I'll take Cignetti all day over Freeman.
I'm sure, but Marcus Freeman has the pardon my take bump this year. He went on the show, and that's been pretty good luck for pretty much every sport across.
Didn't Cignetti go on this year too?
Way later on, I think so. Like right before that game day, right?
Yeah.
But the everything you said is right, and I do think that Curtis Rourke plays with a lot more confidence than Riley Leonard does. I think Riley Leonard's the better quarterback, but I think that Curtis Rourke thinks he's better in his head, and that makes him perform a little bit better. I do think taking the points is probably the smart play, but Notre Dame dropped their hype video today, and they used Jeezy in it, so can't fade Jeezy in the snow, ice cold. I think Notre Dame maybe wins this game by 4.
Okay. Low scoring.
I mean, they have it set at 52.5, and I would lean to the under on that, but we'll see how the Friday night first college football playoff, everyone's going to be hyped. There's a chance that this one has the craziness factor of it just immediately on 11 from opening kickoff on. Like there's a shot that there's a couple of dumb fumbles, tipped balls for interceptions on both teams. I think this one, this is a coin flip. The fact that it's 7 points, you should take the points. But who wins this game is a coin flip to me.
I love Indiana in this game. Ryan, I'm with you. We'll save it to the end, but there's a good chance I pick this as my underdog play. I think Cignetti's the better coach. I think I know Notre Dame's probably had the same amount of time off, but it just feels that Indiana has just prepared for this. We saw Cignetti on Pat McAfee yesterday. I know he was, giving Rich Rod some love, but he just seems dialed in. I don't know how to explain it. Let's look. Everyone's giving Indiana crap all year too for who's Indiana played, who's Notre Dame played. Even look at their one loss.
Yeah,
you can. A&M, Louisville, Navy, and Army are better than anyone that Indiana played this whole year, but Ohio State. There's no way Indiana wins all 4 of those games. There's no shot that Indiana wins all 4 of those games. There's no chance.
Army and Navy, like from an athlete standpoint,
they get completely overrun. But like one of those teams could beat Indiana.
I don't think so. I don't.
I also think that it might be much closer than the Army Navy games against Notre Dame if they played Indiana, and that might just be play style. But again, you can't compare Indiana's schedule to Notre Dame. Notre Dame played A&M. Louisville. There's neither one of those besides Ohio State.
I'll give you A&M, but they also lost to Northern Illinois in South Bend.
Yeah,
that evens that out too. Indiana's all, yeah, you can say, okay, maybe Notre Dame's had a little bit better of a schedule, but I also know Indiana's not losing at home.
Yeah, they don't have
Northern
nearly as bad of
Illinois.
a loss. That's for sure.
That's so I like Indiana. I think the coaching matchup favors them. I think everyone is high on Notre Dame, and I think I could see Cignetti just sneaking his way into this and being like, hey, remember me?
I do think Mac's right about the weather. Like the fact that everyone sees the cold snow and they think like, oh yeah, Notre Dame trench game. I think that favors Indiana more.
Yes.
Hey, another thing I was thinking about, Notre Dame hasn't played a one-possession game since the end of September. So sometimes when you're blowing teams out, you're in cruise control, and you finally get in a tight game and you pucker up, and what better program to pucker up? Or what program have we seen pucker up more than any? Maybe Texas than Notre Dame. So, yeah. It's yeah. So we're all on Indiana. What's the coin saying?
All right.
You got one, Troy?
I do have a coin. I dropped the coin. It landed right on my balls, but it was on heads.
Heads.
Road head.
Yeah. Road head. All right.
Indiana.
4 across on the Hoosiers. All right. The Irish. Let's go. I can't wait for that game tomorrow. All right. Let's get over to 12 o'clock. And boy, did fucking college football fail. How did they get buried on a TNT game for a college football playoff game while the NFL fucking crowbar one of these shitty ass regular season games? I'll have college basketball on before I watch that Chiefs Texas game. Side note. Let's go SMU, Penn State. Both teams lost their conference titles Saturday night about the same time. SMU, new to the party here. I ain't going to lie to you guys. I want to take SMU so bad. I want SMU to win, but you look at the weather. This is another weather. It's going to be in the mid-20s. It's going to be windy. We know James Franklin as a favorite, how good he is. And also, as
but
a
not
dog.
in ranked matchups.
Yeah. I mean, they're always really good against like the second tier, the non-Ohio State, Michigan elite teams. I just think Penn State up front is able to control the line of scrimmage here, and Penn State wins by 10. So I'll lay it with Penn State here in Happy Valley. This place is going to be fucking awesome. Just a home playoff game at State College. Can't wait for this one. I'll lay the points with the Nittany Lions.
Do you think that the noon whiteout is a panic move, or is this a smart move? Because I mean, I know you only get one chance at a home playoff game, and you can't get the bye in order to get it. So you got to pull the whiteout.
Yeah, you do it whenever you get it. Yeah, I don't think it's
the fact that it's at noon. Does the whiteout play as much? And the only other thing I had on here was James Franklin 1-5 in his last 6 ranked matchups, just straight up.
There is something said for SMU literally having nothing to lose. Nobody expected them to be here. They're the walk-on in the ACC. They do have an electric quarterback in Jennings. They've won every game except that Clemson game ever since. Yeah, I since making the decision to fully
my bad.
Jennings. But yeah, I just think Penn State kind of reminds me of BYU a little bit with their defense.
I do think the Aller versus Jennings is a very interesting matchup, and not to, nothing against Jennings, but Aller is one of the guys on the short list in the entire college football playoff that you kind of trust at quarterback, right?
Yeah,
he's
I would
probably looked the best almost out of everybody. I mean, Gabriel and Drew Aller, right? Like those are your top 2 QBs in the college football playoff.
I agree.
Looking at it from afar,
completely agree.
I don't really want to do it. I'm going to take SMU in the 8.5 though. Okay. It's a really dumb play, but I think James Franklin might throw up here.
I'm the complete opposite. I think Penn State kills them. I think this is a 14 to 17 point win for Penn State, maybe even more. I don't think the whiteout's desperation at all. You got a home playoff game. Who knows when you're going to get the next one? I think SMU to just get in here is a victory enough for him that the committee chose them over Alabama in a way. That's your first win. Maybe this game is close for a half, but then towards the end of the second quarter, maybe sometime in the third quarter, I think Penn State just breaks it open. I think they run all over SMU. I really do. I don't think SMU is going to just be able to stop them at all. I think Penn State kills them.
I think the committee might want the college football playoff games to be close in this round instead of some blowouts, for the sole purpose of like, oh, look, we picked the right teams. They were all competitive games, blah, 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 blah. That's kind of one thing that I'm thinking. Penn State blowing them out wouldn't be surprising to me. And like I said, it's a really dumb play. It's just me hoping that James Franklin does something really stupid, which makes me feel more confident that I have that in my back pocket.
Well, don't forget too, as we see this in the NFL, I think we see this in college. There's an expanded now. It always seems like there's a week of blowouts, then every game's close. Then a week of blowouts, then the national championship's close. It's like for every 2 rounds, you got to choose the weeks. Like I could see this kind of. I would not be surprised if this is the blowout week.
I was going to say Penn State was one of the conference championship games that wasn't a blowout, so they're on the reverse schedule. Like most of the other games were over pretty quickly. The Oregon-Penn State game, I mean, Oregon kind of controlled it, but, one little mistake and Penn State would have been maybe forcing overtime in that one. So, yeah, you could be on the reverse here. The close game blowout and then close game next week.
What's Coin doing?
Coin.
I'm not taking the Texas team going to Penn State in 25 degrees either rush.
Coin also on heads again.
Say that, Ryan, again.
I said I'm also not taking a team from the South going up to.
I mean, that's a system play. Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, here we go. This game, Clemson, Texas. Game 4:00 on TNT in Austin. It's even going to be cold in Texas, guys. I think it's going to be like mid-50s by kickoff, which for Texas,
might as well be freezing.
Yeah,
it's going to snow.
Texas, that's pretty cold. Yeah, I know. You're getting all right. So we have extended rest here. I know Clemson's off like the Super Bowl win, but I mean, college basketball. What's the big upset? 12-5. We get the 12-5 here.
That's funny.
You give me the better coach. Nothing to lose. We've seen Sark in these big games where he's got his plays scripted, and if he gets a little bit off script, things go off the rails. Texas hasn't beat anybody. I think Texas is the most overrated team in the country. And I'm not just saying that because I hate Texas. They haven't beaten anybody. Their best win is Vanderbilt on the road. They just lost to Georgia against their backup fucking quarterback. So I think Klubnik, the more consistent quarterback this year over Quinn Ewers. I think Clemson defensively can toy with Texas offensively. Give me Dabo in the points, and I'm going to take a little bit of this money line. Anytime you can fade Texas in a big game as a favorite, all over that. Yeah, give me Clemson.
Yeah, this is the one. I know you mentioned it about SMU, but the fact that Clemson got completely written off by everybody, and we were 4 or 5 weeks into the year on this show talking Big 12, and the only thing that I kept bringing up was like, man, nobody's paying attention to Dabo. This guy's just the ACC schedule is going to work out perfect for him. It's crazy. This is house money. This is your nothing to lose team, and the nothing to lose team also has dumb Dabo magic. 12 points is that's way too beefy for me to lay. That's super beef right there. I don't know about the money line play here because Clemson's offense is going to have their best game of the year. And we do know that Texas defense is pretty solid. Like you said, they didn't really play a bunch of great teams, but they're a pretty dang good defense. I just think that the Clemson defense forces some red zone field goals instead of touchdowns, and you take the points here and maybe there's a chance at the end.
I'm going to lay these points. So
horns up rush.
Unfortunately, I think this game is going to be one. I do agree that it's going to be closer than maybe the spread indicates. And I think it could be one where we're watching it and saying, how is Clemson only down 7 right now? Or how are they only down like 10? Like one of those, like they still have a chance to win this. You wouldn't if the scoreboard was away, you'd be watching and be like, oh, Texas is up 21 points right now because of Dabo magic. He's able to get that weird turnover or block a field goal or just do something that keeps them in it. But then I think you're going to get to that fourth quarter, even mid fourth quarter, and then Texas is just going to be like, what are we doing, guys? And then they kind of start to lay it on. I think they win by 2 touchdowns at least. I think Clemson also did all they can to get to this point, and good for them winning the ACC and making it into the playoffs. I think they come out roaring a little bit, but I think that fire fades, and I'm not scared to lay these points with Texas. I really am not.
I need Clemson to win this one so I can cash out my future on them.
I'm telling you, if it's close to the fourth quarter, Texas could have choked this game away.
I don't think it's going to be close though. I'm talking like 7-10, and they shouldn't even be that close into it. I don't.
What do we?
How much arch do we see?
None.
You might see some packages. Quinn's not playing well.
There is a little controversy there.
There's got to be some talk. Like, I don't think it's time to fully pull the trigger, but you've got to at least maybe even a couple of drives instead of just, your occasional 1-play or 2-play packages. But Texas needs something to spark them because they've been kind of in a rut the last few weeks. I know they were able to win games and all that, but explosives have been missing for that Texas offense.
What do we get the coin going?
Coin finally goes tails.
Tails. Okay, so he's on.
Coin's a horns guy.
All right, let's go over to the primetime game Saturday night. Is this game TNT as well? No, this one's ABC. So back on ABC, 8 o'clock at the Shoe. The Buckeyes are laying 7.5. Tennessee fans been chirping all week how they're going to take over the stadium.
Kneeling North.
Tennessee's doing way too much talking.
They are doing a lot of talking.
I think Ohio State's getting ready to fuck them up. I think Ohio State off the Michigan loss. See, they're good. Ryan Day is automatic against everybody not named Michigan. If you remember last time they played Michigan and lost a game where they were heavily favored, it was in the playoff against Georgia, the 2-time defending champ, and they led the entire game and lost at the end on a field goal. This one they're getting at the Shoe against a Tennessee team that's unproven on the offensive end. I don't think Tennessee's going to be able to move the ball on Ohio State's defense. I like Ohio State to blow them out here in the second half. Give me the Buckeyes to roll into the second round.
Does Will Howard against this Tennessee defense scare you a little bit?
I don't think that they're going to – I think they're going to blow it open late on short fields. Nico's young too. I mean, he's a young fella still, and this is a big-time atmosphere for him.
This is a flag plant special, though, because the law doesn't go into effect yet. So the flag plant could still be a non-felony. You might get pepper sprayed, but you're not going to go to prison. The only thing, I mean, like you said, the amount of talk that Tennessee is doing as a 7.5-point dog is fucking hilarious.
They are the public dog, by the way. They are, 75% of the bets and money on Tennessee. Like everybody's on Tennessee.
I also saw Ohio State still only like plus 450 to win the national championship. Everyone's still pretty high on this Ohio State team. Got to have some sharp money coming in still consistently to keep that number down. I mean, I know they looked horrible against Michigan, but that one, even when we talked about it afterwards, that just seems like the guy has your number, a team has your number kind of thing, and it becomes mental and all that. Ohio State wins this game against Tennessee. It's wide fucking open for them. The half might scare me. I might take this one at like 6.5 instead of 7.5, and they win by a TD. But I do think Ohio State gets this win, and I do think it's by a full touchdown. So I don't know. Maybe more money comes in on Tennessee, and you get it at 6.5 before kick. But that would be kind of my angle. I mean, you can put me down at 7.5. I'll lay it because that's what we have here. But I prefer it under that TD number.
Okay. Troy or Rush, sorry.
I'm going to lay the points again here with Ohio State. As you said, Ryan, everyone's from Tennessee and their mothers talking about this game. public dog, like you said. I just think this round is going to go towards the favorites, except that Indiana Notre Dame game Friday night. I think that's going to be the game of the weekend. I think these Saturday games are going to lean towards blowouts, and it's going to set us up for a great round next week. I see it being just a chalky Saturday, and then we'll hear about from all the pundits, oh, there are too many teams in, that'll go on, and then next week will be the best week
Four
of college
classics
football ever. Yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, oh, that 12 team was perfect. It warmed the ones up for the bigger seeds. But with all being said, I'm laying it here with Ohio State. Chalky Saturday.
Chalky Saturday, baby. All right, let's shout out our sponsor, then we'll fill out the rest of our bracket because we do have a bracket challenge. Get on over there to mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN, and you can get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 and a $10 casino chip. I like the Buckeyes, -7.5. You could hear it in my tone. So get on over there. Place it at mybookie.ag, promo code SGP or TCESGPN. We are also brought to you by Rhythm, a proud sponsor. Build your model today. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. All right, guys. How do I want to do this? So we have Oregon, the 1 seed at the Rose Bowl. We got Georgia, the 2 seed at the Sugar Bowl. We got Boise, the 3 seed at the Fiesta Bowl. And then we have Arizona State, the 4 seed at the Chick-fil-A. So real quick, Troy, Georgia actually didn't get the Atlanta site.
Yeah, they didn't get the Atlanta site now because wouldn't the Atlanta site now prevent you from the Atlanta site next round?
There's no Atlanta site next round. It's the Orange Bowl and then the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, they're screwed.
But the national championship's in Atlanta.
Oh,
there you go.
We're back in.
There we go.
But they could have gotten 2 Atlanta games, I guess, in the playoff.
Yeah, I'm actually
like if they would have gotten it.
I mean, they're still going to New Orleans, so I'll lead it off here for my winners, and I have Indiana and Clemson pulling the upsets to open up the bracket here, and then I had Penn State and Ohio State. I have Ohio State beating Oregon in the Rose Bowl, the rematch of the classic game. I have Arizona State, our Sun Devils, getting it done in the quarterfinals, getting to the semifinals. So that'd be Arizona State, Ohio State in the Final Four for me. I have Boise beating Penn State at the Fiesta Bowl. Remember, that's where the magic was against Oklahoma years and years ago.
Oh, that make me so happy. All the Penn State fans.
Yes, and then I have Georgia rolling Indiana in the Sugar Bowl. So my Final Four is, who would have had this? Ohio State, Georgia, the 2 favorites in the regular season or preseason, and then Arizona State and Boise State to make my Final Four. Troy, who do you have winning these 4 games, and then how do you have the bracket going down in the next round as well?
Is there a shot that Georgia gets the Cardell Jones bump? Cardell Jones bump also occurred in the first year that we had a new format. So,
yep,
kind of falling into that storyline there. In the first round, I've got Texas winning, Ohio State winning, Penn State winning, and Notre Dame winning. So
you went to chalk for the
pretty
winner.
Chalky. In that Texas-Arizona State game, the thing that scares me is they gave Arizona State a bye, and they probably could have used a game to just keep momentum fucking rolling here. But I'll go with them pulling the upset and the juice. I think Kenny Dillingham might be a better coach than Steve Sarkisian already. So we'll have Arizona State in the first part of the semifinal. The Ohio State-Oregon game is, we already saw a pretty classic game between the two. I feel like if Ohio State gets past Tennessee, they're going to beat Oregon. So I'm going to put Ohio State advancing to the semis as well and playing Arizona State, just like you have. I don't have Boise State beating Penn State. I think the arm of Drew Aller is just enough to get them by Boise State. And I'm going to take Notre Dame to beat Georgia.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. Hey, by the way, the look-ahead line, Notre Dame would be -2.5 against Georgia.
Oh, yeah. And you know what the SEC says about, like, when they play a playoff game, they're always going to be favored against the team with no schedule, right?
Yeah. Why play the games if there's a point spread, right?
Just advance Notre Dame. We're done. We don't even have to play.
Russ, where you go, brother?
I'm going to have Texas obviously plays Arizona State. I have Texas in that game. Oregon, Ohio State. I think Oregon wins the rematch. I know that was a great game the first time. I'm gonna pick Oregon again. Penn State, Boise State. Ryan, I'm joining you, man. Go Boise State. I think they can pull this one off. And wouldn't it be great from Penn State fans being like, okay, we just got to beat Boise State and we're finally in the top 4 college football playoff. Crap, we lost to Boise State. Can't even make the top 4. And then, man, I go back and forth on this. I think it's going to be a field goal game either way. Screw it. Give me Indiana to beat Georgia. High scoring game.
I like it.
48-45.
48-45. I like it. So, okay. So we all have different Final Fours, which I like.
Is there a look ahead line on Penn State, Boise State?
Yeah, I looked at it. Penn State's like minus 5.5 or 6.5.
I was going to say 6.5. I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe they look really good against SMU, and we can get that at like 8.5 in favor of Boise State.
I'm looking up the look ahead lines. It would be they took them down, but they were early. It was like 5.5 or 6.5. I want to say. All right, let's go over to my Final Four, where I had Arizona State taking on the Buckeyes. I have the Buckeyes getting it done in Dallas. So I have the Buckeyes in the national championship after they lost to Michigan. And then I do have the Dream Crusher. Boise loses to Georgia. So I have Georgia, Ohio State in the national championship, a rematch of a instant classic a couple years ago in Atlanta. Troy?
My national championship is going to be Ohio State against Notre Dame.
I will pick. Oh, I got to pick between Boise State and Indiana. That's going to.
Russia's computer connection just going to disconnect.
I'll go Oregon, Indiana, Big Ten championship.
Ooh, Indiana.
What we deserve to see.
Love it. All right, so that Troy, who'd you have again? You had
Ohio State, Notre Dame in a classic run punt matchup.
Yeah.
What's crazy is with Indiana, if they beat Notre Dame, then you got a banged up Georgia, and Boise State pulls it off. Like that's not crazy. Like Notre Dame.
Indiana beats Notre Dame, I would have them playing Ohio State here in the national championship as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like Indiana's hardest game might be their first one until you get to the Natty.
National championship is in Atlanta, like I noted. I'm not picking against Georgia in Atlanta.
Dogs.
Kirby Smart versus Ryan Day on a neutral field. Give me the better coach. Home venue rematch. I think it'll be another instant classic, and I think the most Ohio State Ryan Day thing would do is to go all the way to the national championship, have the lead, then blow it at the end. Georgia wins a instant classic over Ohio State, and they want to fire Ryan Day for losing to Michigan and losing in the national championship. So give me the Dogs to not cut down the nets, but bring the confetti down in Atlanta again.
It would be nuts if Ohio State wins the national championship.
It would.
Ohio State, they were my preseason pick. Go ahead, Troy.
I've got one that's even worse than Ohio State winning the national championship after losing to Michigan, and that's when Notre Dame wins the national title after dropping one to Northern Illinois at South Bend.
Oh,
the Golden Domers.
If they lose to Notre Dame after the way he ran his mouth about Lou Holtz last year, after they beat him, how great would that be?
That would be pretty funny.
Russ, what do you got?
I'm going to pick Oregon to win it all, and we're all going to be saying, oh, but it just had the BCS. Back to my original point. I think this Oregon team is I know we've talked about parity and everything evening out, but I think Oregon's been by far, obviously they haven't lost, but the best team in college football this year. And I think they just keep it rolling. I think this is Oregon's chance to finally win that natty, and they just needed a 12-team playoff to do it. Never mind when Marcus Mariota or who was the quarterback when they played Cam? Well, Chip Kelly was the coach. I'll just say Chip Kelly.
No, it wasn't Mariota. Fuck.
I'm trying to remember.
Mariota was Dixon.
No, it wasn't Dixon. It was the one after Dixon. It was Dixon, then somebody else, then Mariota.
Yes, and I can't remember it, but it was Chip Kelly, so I'll say Chip Kelly.
Yeah. All good points. So Troy, you would have Notre Dame plus 750. Rush would have Oregon plus 360. I have Georgia 5-1. Rush, would you take a shot on Indiana 40-1? I mean, you have them in the Natty.
Are we forgetting that it was Justin Herbert?
No, Herbert was way later. Herbert was like 2019. That was Cristobal. That was Cristobal. Because only Cristobal could make Justin Herbert look fucking average. And that's what Cristobal did at Oregon. What would you take a shot on Indiana 40-1?
I mean, for like $5. Yeah. I'm not throwing 100 on it.
Yeah. Boise
probably not, honestly.
Boise 65-1, Arizona State 55-1, Clemson 55-1, SMU 45-1. Me personally, I'm rooting for Clemson.
I was going to say, if there is one of the long shots that I would be betting on, it's Clemson, and that's because my heart would tell me to do it, so it's not a smart bet. But I did just get a funny meme sent to me by a Clemson fan that they just got a second transfer.
Uh-oh.
And so it was the lean into the George Bush ear, sir. A second transfer has hit Clemson.
It would be great if Clemson won the Natty in the portal NIL era, where they do everything the opposite, and they have 3 losses. They backed their way in it, but probably not going to happen. So, all right, guys, we'll do one more episode probably next week at some point. We'll figure out our schedules with Christmas. We'll do a college basketball futures update because Big 12 conference play starts next Saturday before New Year. So make sure you guys are subscribed to all our channels. And hey, 15K, the goal by January 1, or the station's down and we're no longer with you. So it's
you see Thomas had his 90-year-old grandma making an account.
Hell yeah, Thomas.
And now she bets Long Island Sharks money line every night now.
Exactly. Shout out to you, Thomas, doing the good Lord's work. Shout out to all the tweets about getting us 15K. We are at like 14.3, so we're closing in, but ball's in your court. Make it happen, guys, or you'll see us in the next life, I guess. So anyway, college basketball pregame show coming up at 6 o'clock. Go check out the Ryan and Rush show as well. We're already looking ahead to next year's college football playoff, where the Mountaineers will be as a bye after Rich Rod runs through
the 3 seed.
Yep. 3 seed. 12-0, 3 seed. We'll be behind the SEC and Big Ten, both with 2 losses somehow. But anyway,
a 3-loss Big Ten.
Exactly.
Sounds like a top seed to me.
Go check out the college basketball experience, college football experience. We are the Big 12 college experience. He is at Rambling Rush. He's at Troy Chewning. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. We are the Big 12 college experience, and we are out of here. Merry Christmas. Cheers.